This stream contains fast-flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised.
Let's go!
Buena, weón!
What a shot! Ay, ay, ay!
Today, our Final Four becomes a Final Three, and one team is moving on to the Grand Final. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Day 4 of the VCT Americas Last Chance Qualifier, coming at you live from the Riot Games studio here in Los Angeles, California. Of course, I'm Golden Boy, the person currently yelling at you guys. Joining me here on the desk, we got FaZe's Baby Bay. We have Plat Chat's Wyatt. We have Shopify Rebellion Shongers. Look at that. And then me, sponsored by no one. In any case, we had a good time yesterday. There were some good games. You know, Mama Mimi's not here, so that means we're gonna get a little wild today. Okay, now here's the thing. Yesterday,
fun.
That's right. That's right. She bans fun all the time. Now we had our opening matches of our double elimination portion of the bracket, but let's go ahead and dive into what we saw yesterday. Because first up, it was C9 facing off against Sentinels. Another, NA clash here, and Sean Gares, I think it's safe to say that Sentinels definitely showed us that they can compete, they can hang, but there's a reason why C9 are the heavy favorite.
Yeah, I walked away from this series thinking, wow, Sentinels has a legitimate shot to run the lowers. That was my takeaway. That fracture map that Saucy put in, and just how strategic Sentinels
a masterclass, yeah.
I have never seen Sentinels play a map like that second map in this series. So all the credit to them for stealing a map off of Cloud9. This is a team that lost 4 throughout the regular season.
Yeah, on the other side, though, for Cloud9, I think the biggest question coming into this was about the status of their mental, because at the end of the playoffs, that felt like one of the major reasons, if not the biggest reason, that they weren't able to make it to Tokyo. They came so close, but they didn't make it. And so here at LCQ, is that going to still be a problem? And no, it doesn't really look like it. I mean, if you're a Cloud9 fan, you wanted to see them come in and just get a convincing win, which on the other 2 maps, that fracture side, they did. They did what they needed to do, which means that they, in my eyes, remain the tournament favorites, unless, proven otherwise today.
But that fracture still lingers in the back of the mind. Curious to see how that kind of plays out, though. And then, of course, we move on to another hit when we had, another hit of the Croupium, excuse me. All right, when they ran over the regional rival Leviatán, Baby Bay, this was absolutely clinical from Crew. And a dismantling, and one that I was genuinely shocked, given how high everyone was rating Leviatán coming into LCQ.
I mean, I'm just going to keep saying it. This Kesnet guy is just a freak on Raze, and if you keep giving him these Raze maps, he's going to pop off. I mean, he's one of the best races I think we've seen so far in this LCQ.
Yeah, it is quite problematic for the other teams if they're continuing to let him kind of get away with it. But yeah, I mean, but besides that, though, Wyatt, you're still seeing this Crew roster. It's the sum of all of its parts. They are picking up every piece that's left down when Kesnet's going out there fragging.
Yeah, it's really nice to see, because some of those guys like Klaus, we really haven't seen them play at this level since like late 2021, right? Yeah. I mean, he really struggled throughout the season, and he's right back to where he was then. He was such an impact player when they went on that Champions 2021 run, which we keep referencing ad infinitum, but it's because that was the last time they had a serious shot at like getting to a final, to actually winning a tournament. It's been that long. And all of a sudden, it just feels like it's so real again. It's so doable. It's right there.
He's putting up numbers on this Sky roll, especially on the bind matches we've seen. He has so much flexibility, but I also have to give flowers to Melser. I think he's playing so well for the team right now. And the entire supporting cast, it was just Kesnet and friends. And honestly, Kesnet is still having like
because it's still Kesnet hanging with his friends
right now.
Yeah.
But the supporting cast is really playing well throughout this LCQ run. And if they show up like that today, I am terrified for Cloud9.
Well, you know what? Let's take a look at our bracket and where we are right now, because don't let your eyes deceive you, folks. It's a sea of pink from the beginning all the way till the middle. Crew bodies MIBR. Crew takes down Furia. Crew bodies Leviatán. And now they're here in honestly, an unlikely scenario for plucky underdogs as they face off against the Titan in Cloud9. And then you can see at the bottom there are other matches going to happen today. We have Sentinels taking on Leviatán. Can Sentinels continue their run in this competition in the lower bracket? Can Leviatán find a solution, find an answer, get back into it? We'll find out in a little bit. But before we get into today's matches, though, we wanted to take a pause for a very, very special segment. It's time for Baby Bay Watch. That was good timing on that one. Oh, actually,
Looking good, man.
Yeah.
Wait, I look way more jacked.
okay, guys, so
Now I'm self-conscious. Hold on.
the rules are really simple. Honestly, there are no rules. Baby Bay is going to rate the fit, the drip, the looks here at LCQ because honestly, I mean, come on, goes without saying. Would you want me to do that? I don't think that would happen. Like you just bathing in your adoration here. All right, well, let's go ahead and start things off with the drip daddy, the drip king. It's Digizine. Obviously, this guy always looking like a stud as he walks out to the stage, Baby Bay. What you rate this?
Okay, man. First of all, this guy's the chain god himself.
You can't even look up. You can't even look up the weight.
Like literally, he's just being pulled down. And imagine the neck strength that this guy has.
Yeah, my guy's
and
got
he plays
some
like
traps,
that.
dude.
And he plays like that. And you know what? Maybe that's why he carries so hard on his team. So
Could be. That could be. It's all in the
And
shoulders.
he's looking good, by the way. I respect the drip. Also,
Yeah.
Fury
The
jerseys
sleeve?
on point.
What do you
Yeah,
think
the
of
Fury
sleeve?
jerseys.
Fury
do go
jerseys
hard.
on point.
I love
Sleeve,
the logo too.
Brownie Esports points right there.
Okay,
love
good.
that.
All right, nice. All right, so Digizine, so far so good. All right, so we have MCE coming up next. He's also got a new look. Look at this guy.
Okay.
Just looking like a stud. What do you make of this,
Okay.
Baby Bay?
Honestly, it could be worse. It could be worse. I actually like it. I respect the try. I love the pin that they have, the Pride Month.
That's
C9
right.
Logo.
That's
Love
right.
that. I love that he's repping that. And then if you look at the back, you see his homie just staring him down, bro.
Just plain black
Just
shirt
staring him
with
down like,
C9
who is
logo.
that man? Is that my coach? Like, yeah. I mean,
I respect the shoulders. He's got some.
he
he's got
looks
some
broad.
serious shoulder.
He looks
he looks like
broad.
a defensive line.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
does.
he's
Un tanquecito,
he
you know,
definitely looks
shows
like
up.
he'll take you out. Like, you do not want to mess with this guy. So if I was crew seeing this, I would be
Oh, yeah.
scared.
And you know what? He will write you the best bank loan you could possibly ask. All right, next up, we have Finesse. He's looking good for the Cloud match here. So this was him just full on trying to just get as much social media clout as possible, Baby Bay.
Yeah, you know what? I get where Jimmy Marv gets his drip from. I
Yeah.
totally get it. This is his dad.
That's
and
true.
if his dad is swagged out like this, like he
Comes in
kind of
the
gets that
family.
from him. Like, I mean, look at this hat. Beautiful. The chain. Beautiful.
Although you should
Fen
take-
jersey, interesting.
Wait, take a lint roller to the hat, though. Okay,
Hold up.
okay, Finesse.
The location. Is this in the bathroom?
That is a bathroom shot. I
is he taking the
recognize this
fit
bathroom.
pic in the bathroom?
I just pooped there. That's right. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. All right, next up, let's go ahead and rate the fit of this guy here. There we go.
Is that King? Is that King? Nah, joking. Yeah,
All right, rate
you know-
yourself, Baby Bay.
All right. Chain on point.
Obviously.
Watch
Real.
on point.
Real.
Earrings, mid. You know what I mean?
Could have done. You think could have done better?
I think I do more. Hair, clearly losing his hairline. But
Hey, man.
nothing a little trip to Istanbul won't fix. You know what I mean?
Hold on to that for as long as you can, baby.
Wanted to go there for Valorant, might have to go there for other reasons. That's all I'm saying. So.
All right, and we have one more. One more we want you to rate. We think
Okay.
this one's going to be real important.
I mean, he just wins. He just wins, though. He just wins.
Yeah.
I mean, this looks like if the Monopoly Man was in a circus, right? So all he's missing is a monocle, and he'd just be just 10 out of 10.
Oh, man, we
Five
could have
stars.
totally photoshopped a monocle onto him. It would have been brilliant.
Love
Yeah.
how high he has the pants.
Yeah.
It really
Yes.
brings it all together.
Real
for me.
high waist.
Well, it's really
to sell it.
fascinating how much he's tucked that into the point where it just looks like a muffin top is existing in the
I
pants
think-
itself.
I think what really stands out to me is the demeanor. Like you can say a lot with your body language, and
Yeah.
he's just giving it all right.
He's saying so much with
Doesn't
it.
even
Yeah, he is.
jewelry.
It's mostly
Doesn't even-
depression
doesn't
and get
eat
me
anything.
out of here.
Looks like he's waxing the stash there. He's got some serious flow
I could just
on
be
this
taking
thing.
it. I know you knew you meant the stash, but it could just be taken in so many different ways. All right, guys. Well, when you're done looking at the LCQ fit check, make sure you use the hashtags Valorant LCQ as well as VCT so that we can feature your tweets on the broadcast. Go ahead, have fun. Go ahead and rate the drips. Let us know what you think. Rate our drips. I don't know. I just found this shirt and put it on. In any case, so guys, let's go ahead and get right into it because we have our upper bracket final matchup in a situation that genuinely don't think anyone thought we would find ourselves in. Crew taking on Cloud9. And let's go ahead and talk about the Miracle Men first. Let's talk about this Crew lineup. Sean, you're wearing pink. So obviously you're cheering for Crew. But this team, man, what is going on? What are they having for breakfast that's making them play like this?
I wasn't fully a believer at first. They beat MIBR with a 6th coming in, the assistant coach playing. They end up taking Furio with their 6th also. But yesterday against Leviatán, this is the team that all the players continue to hype up. They say that this is a new, invigorated Leviatán. They're bodying people in scrims. Those scrim bucks are not worth anything. I do not care.
Monopoly money.
Crew destroyed them yesterday. It was never even a series. And the way they did it, it was so impressive. On a strategic level and a mechanical level, these guys have just really risen to the occasion.
Yeah, 100%. It's in a way reminding me of what just happened with EG, honestly, where they've gotten to this point where everybody on the team is firing at all cylinders because they've elevated the team as a whole, and then it's just being led by, I mean, we can't stop talking about Kesnet, and it's for good reason. He's just lighting the whole tournament on fire. I mean, he is playing the best tournament he has ever played, one of the best tournaments anybody has ever played up until this point.
Look at this. Look at
Actually,
it's a deep state conspiracy, okay? That somehow conveniently that the crew logo was the last one that Josh grabbed and gave to Bren, and then they put on there. At some point, Baby Bay, we have to start questioning whether or not these two people are from the future, because the chosen conspiracy, like all this stuff, it just doesn't make any sense, man.
I mean, this is a mess, clearly. But, I mean, the Monopoly man himself knows what he's talking about here, clearly, right? I mean, this looks very similar to the guy we just saw, right?
Yeah.
The clown.
The clown, yes.
The clown. And,
insane.
I mean, this is kind of a clown run. You're 0-9 as crew, and now you're just wiping everybody out in this fashion. It's insane. And the momentum that they have going into every match they have now after being down 0-9. I can't even imagine how it feels.
Well, and you've been hyping up this guy a lot as well. Might as well talk about him. I mean, Kesnet, this guy, he's been great all year, but these past few matches that they've had, man, have just been an awakening for this player.
I mean, his satchel game is on point, as you just saw, and he's just getting these entries. Just look at the confidence on this repeat. Like, why?
Yes.
Like, what? He doesn't even need to go for that. But he's just so confident right now, and you know that is going off on all his teammates. And I mean, look at this. Like, who is doing stuff like this?
Yeah, it is just outrageous. His raise, I mean, like you were saying, baby, you said it the other day when you were here too. When they're playing these raise maps, it's just a totally different level. I don't think there's anyone aside from, I mean, you're looking at like the top guys like Durka to be playing like this. And he's right up there. And I mean, you're looking right now, this is just a comparison of him at his other best runs. That Champs 2021 run, he was still great in Americas despite all of those losses. And right now in LCQ, I mean, you can just see the difference in the numbers. It's just outrageous how well he's playing.
It's so funny that Baby Bay mentions the confidence, because I draw so many comparisons to the early phase lineups that you were in. And if there's blood in the water from the other duelist, if Kesnet feels he can just diff the other duelist, it is over for your team. He goes from taking strategic fights in the system to just knowing he can take all these individual duels, double satcheling in. And until you prove that you can beat him, he is going to run you in the dirt. He is so confident right now. I really hope Leaf can step up today.
Well, very few players actually can, take that initiative. Leaf is one of those guys. So that's why I think this matchup's going to be really fascinating, because you're really going to see Kesnet, I think, push the limit here. But we have to constantly ask ourselves the question, how did this happen? How did we get here? How is this the reality that we live in? Sean, I know you got a telestrator for us. What do you have?
I do. This is actually from the game yesterday, to be honest, GB. This is the split game, and I'm going to show you first how they set things up early on in these games, right? So I'm just going to draw immediate attention to the mini-map, because this is what Crew does a lot throughout almost all of their maps we've seen them play thus far. They'll run this 3-1-1 base, right? Where Nags and Melzer are on kind of like the middle part of the map or one extremity, and they're just holding. They've been so good at punishing aggression time and time again, no matter what the map is. Meanwhile, the other three are over here, putting immense pressure on this A site. The Sky is flashing ramp, the Chamber and the Raze are aggressively taking that ramp control, and the Chamber can obviously dismiss out of that with a TP, and then they have the Viper wall to protect from Heaven. Now, going into the round, you can see they're starting to think about how to operate with this Astra wall. They have the Astra ult right now, and the Astra's gonna cross mid, and if you check out the mini-map now, they're actually shifting back towards an A hit. But they pause for a second, because they're realizing now on that jump spot, that was the Viper. And the Viper in the double duelist setup, they recognize this on the fly, and they're making this adjustment. Look at the minimap right now, and notice all of the pings coming into the vents. They're audibling off of their normal strat, and they're gonna do a vents pinch. And they're gonna blindside Taco right now so hard coming through the vents. So the Astral Wall comes in, which is an amazing Astral Wall. It blocks off that deep heaven angle, it blocks off screens, and it also prevents the elbow peek. So the players in the site are really terrified into peeking into A heaven, which is what you're seeing kind of over here in this direction. And that's denying info. That's causing Taco to go across mid. He sees nothing. Melzer's not giving that fight. He's only holding for aggression. The pinch is coming in, and honestly, even if Taco was aware, he would still die to the flank. This is later on in the half, round 12. They have the Astral Wall again. So now we're gonna actually get to see what the real strat would have been. So going into the round, you can see they're all grouped up by A. The Astral Wall comes in. There's 4 people going towards heaven along the Astral Wall. The Chamber's obviously supporting the run through. The Viper's gonna be going through main. Astral Wall combined with the gravel on the other side, potentially if anyone were to try to challenge it. Kesnit's double satcheling into the site to create space, which now obviously if you look on the screen, NZR is stuck completely on an island right here. He's a goner. Like, he is literally a goner at this point because he's now in the middle of 3 different crew players. Perfect spacing to hold the run through. Klaus comes back, grabs the spike, and Kesnit secures the round by immediately popping the showstopper, just so that way no one disrespects the site as the spike is going into it. Honestly, he got a couple of these yesterday where he just launches a showstopper up into heaven, and it's perfect. Like, everything this guy is doing right now on the Raze is S tier. And I don't see a single Raze in the scene right now in our region that is doing the things that Kesnit is doing to take control of these rounds. And honestly, strategically and mechanically, I don't know who can compete, GB.
Excellent breakdown as always, and yeah, it really is quite profound when you lay it out that way, right, baby? That just the sheer impact that Kesnit's having, but also just the way that the team is playing around that information has just been so absurd to watch.
Yeah, I've said it time and time again. This game is so momentum based, and to go on a run like this and not having any breaks, they're playing day after day after day.
Yeah.
They have this stage experience right now, and they're just feeling it. They're vibing off one another, and they're just dominating.
Yeah, at this point, we kept saying the term playing with house money with EG. I hate reusing it, but it truly does feel like that, right? Now, of course, one person, though, that honestly has always rated Crew extremely high is actually the coach of Cloud9. It's MCE. Yeah. This is actually what he tweeted back in May when people were trying to, put the pressure on the Crew, and he specifically mentioned, he's like, hate seeing these guys get a lot of hate. I don't think they understand how close they have been a number of times. And that, I think, is the important thing to take away from this, right? Like, these teams in America's regions, it has been so competitive. It has been so close, Wyatt. But most importantly, when you look at Crew's history, yeah, they did lose, all their games, but they were competitive this whole time, which is bizarre when you think about it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was on Ascent specifically. They actually won it 5 times throughout the season. It was a great map for them. And a lot of those other maps, like if you remember against Cloud9, they almost won the first one in OT. That was almost a 2-0 against C9 during the regular season when things were starting to turn around. But kind of lends credence to this match has a lot of question marks. I mean, it really doesn't seem out of the question. The Crew in this form, considering the respect that C9 already have for them, they know that they're good. They actually, as far as I know, they scrim pretty often. They have a lot of respect for each other from that as well.
That's good.
And, that also can kind of create its own meta game a little bit too.
Yeah, that's actually very true. Very, very true. But let's go ahead, though, and move on to Cloud9. Of course, the #1 seed here in the LCQ. And, they won in a convincing fashion yesterday. They are the favorites coming into this, right? I think it goes without saying. A lot of people look at it, they see the names 100 Thieves, they see the name Sentinels, they want to think to themselves, oh, yeah, those are the ones. But no, it's actually C9, Wyatt, that is in this position right now. And they feel like such a force to be reckoned with here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the question here, when we saw C9 in their debut match, were they going to be as good as they were before? Was there going to be any trouble from how they ended the season, any frustration, any changes heading into this, struggling with, the mental that we saw kind of collapse in that early stage of the playoffs? And I mean, you could just see in the standings, they were the entire season one of the teams in contention for Tokyo. It was them, Loud, and NRG, and they ended up barely missing out on it. So coming into this, heavy favorite, still with that win against Sentinels, they have to be considered the favorite, right?
Yeah, they have to be. They dropped 4 maps throughout the entire season. Like 4 maps.
Yeah.
Over 9 series. That's incredible. The round differential is plus 70.
Yeah, and also when you look at their stats as well, coming into this, dominating it isn't even the word that you could use here, Baby Bay. First across the board, C9. If you don't think they're the favorites coming into this event, this match, this tournament, you have to be huffing something.
Yeah, it's like this is insane to look at. Rarely do you see a single team that didn't even make it to Tokyo have first in every single category. I mean, it's absolutely insane how they play, and I think a big key factor of this team is MCE.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be crucial going into this series. Like we saw against Sentinels, MCE did a great job of counter-stratting, especially on split against Sentinels.
Yeah, and you're also really going to be looking for some key players as well to be the ones that step up in those situations. I think you talk about Cloud9, you have to talk about Leaf, right? There's no other ifs, ands, or buts about it. And Baby Bay, this is a guy that genuinely does have impact player written all over him. He's just that good.
Absolutely. I mean, I played against this guy for years, right? And last year he kind of had a slow year, but this year has been one of his best years I've ever seen him play. And it just seems like he's getting better and better. And he's
We think he's doing this
comfortable now.
differently than he was doing in years past.
Yeah, I don't know what changed. I don't know if it's a coaching change, and that's what's helping him. But he's so much more confident this year, and he just wins these these first blood duels all the time, and he goes crazy.
I think that it's the flexibility of him that impresses me the most.
Very true.
Going from Sky to Killjoy back to Jet again, and still putting up the numbers that he's putting up. I don't know if we have another player like that in our region.
But you know what's fascinating about this, though, is that when you look at these stats, one of the games that he struggled in was against Crew, Wyatt. So how fascinating is that, you know, we're looking for Leaf to be the player, but yet the time that he needed to step up against Crew, it's kind of a slower game.
Yeah, 100%. That was when Crew started to kind of elevate themselves. That was when Davies had come back and really stepped it up from the beginning of his season. So that was a factor too. And just later in the season, I mean, you mentioned Leaf's First Bloods. He was leading the season in First Bloods, even over Ospas, while playing non-duelist roles as well. He still was #1, which is crazy. But it was later in the season, around those games, where he wasn't getting as many of the just swing, you know, first
just full
bullet,
confidence
just
swings,
taking someone out. Doesn't even need the util setup. He kind of started to slow down a little bit. We saw him pick it back up at the very end of playoffs against NRG. But the question is now, still, overall, his consistency, unmatched, was still, you know, he came back, was excellent yesterday. He's got to match Kesnet.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see these two clash against one another. But, you know, though, guys, we really want to break down everything and give you guys all the information before we get into the action. Thankfully, Wyatt's got another telestrator prep for us. Wyatt, what you got for us, buddy?
Well, I want to teach you guys about Cloud9. I want to show you what's going on. They're looking super good.
Breakdown, buddies.
Dude, Balla, you've got to be kidding me, man. I can't do this segment with you anymore. Listen, you could be my lover, but I don't want you to be my breakdown buddy. I'll take the heart. I don't think I can do this anymore, but I'm going to give it a shot. All right, we're watching Cloud9 yesterday against Sentinels. We are looking at this little bit of this cheeky mid setup. They've got a trap play off the Cypher. The Breach is ready to throw out that stun, and you can see the Raze in mail ready to activate off of this. Balla is pausing. We are zooming in. He is looking at feet. This is the second time the breakdown buddies who pointed out feet, by the way. Sus.
He's got a thing for him.
Nades coming in. Zelsis spamming. The Sky is, I mean, Lord knows what that line is so long. I don't know why. I'm not really sure what you were trying to point out with that one, buddy.
I love the energy, though.
Okay, he's moving. He's redoing the AI, or not the AI, you know, the HUD. The AI.
ChatGPT.
And now we're over onto Pearl, which was Sen's map pick. That was weird. C9 looked really good on it. They've looked good on it for a while. Saucy, he's bald. There he is. And what? Bald. Keep going. He is playing on the Sova. Right, and that, I mean, right. I mean, Zepp is ready to flash. That's what you're showing, right? Okay, yeah, so he's ready to flash, and they're ready to fight for A main. In the meantime, Cloud9, they are pressuring towards door in mid. They've got a shoddy buy. There is a rifle, but the other players, Sheriffs only. Jake with a great first shot. They've actually been kind of going crazy with the Sheriffs, like over and over. And Leaf, I mean, you
I don't know if you should pronounce that one out loud.
Leaf is just way too good. We saw Rooney with the Sheriff in this game too, was going crazy. Cloud9, their ecos have always been mad lethal throughout the entire season. That is one of the linchpins of their victory. So Pancata wants to stop this defuse with the old Molly, but Zeppa is Zeppa's clutch. I mean, right? He's okay. So let it play. Let's see what happens. What? Boom! The like as in the Molly was popped. I mean, yeah.
It's a trades game out here.
What is this?
What is happening?
Oh, he's full in.
Oh, dude, you're gonna be sweating. You're doubling up on the hoodie. That's crazy. I do believe in
Oh God, I have no idea what happened, but
What just happened, bro?
the question on everyone's mind is, what the hell was that? But also,
That was Vamo.
That caught me off guard.
All over.
is there a forecast on the way that could potentially spell some upsets? We'll play a fun little game of what are the chances after this short break. Don't go anywhere and, yeah, no, I quit. Welcome back, everyone, to VCT Americas as we get ready for our upcoming matchup, Crew versus Cloud9. We decided that we wanted to see what the forecast was looking like as far as how this whole tournament is going to play out, because a lot of things have happened here. This is a special game that we like to call What Are the Chances? Oh, wait, where's my hat? I need my hat. Throw me my weather hat. There it is. Yes. Good try. All right. Man, I wish you guys would have seen that on camera. Here we go. I'm prepared, ready to go. Got my weather hat. All right, Sean. Wow. You're up first, Poppy. What you got for us?
All right, so I got a lot. So basically, I think there's a 90% chance, guys, that the C9 crew winner today actually goes to champs, which is honestly pretty that's straight.
I mean, yeah, I respect that. That's a lot of a chance.
I'm going to go ahead and give the huge advantage to C9. I'm going to put it up there.
Yep.
There's literally a 50% chance that literally crew wins LCQ. The anime arc begins. I actually believe they're going to make a champions run.
Okay.
That's pretty heat, no?
Okay.
Let's just put it down there for them.
Really sweltering in Chile.
And then Sentinel's just definitely beating Leviatán. And then once they get through this, I mean, there's 10% chance.
Wait, are you saying there's a 10% chance Center beating Leviatán?
I actually thought that percentage sign was 100.
All right, so Sean, Baby
favorites, Leviatán.
We don't have a lot of time, so Baby Bay, go ahead, go for it. What do you have here? What's your predictions?
All right, so I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. I have a 10% chance that C9 gives Kesnet raise maps. I mean, you've seen how dominant he's been all
Smart, smart.
I think there's a 90% chance that he pops off anyway, okay? And then...
Actual facts.
And I think there's a 50% chance that King might be my brother.
Look at this. Look at this. I'm dead. No way.
That's actually pretty ridiculous. when they put the hair over you, that's kind of ridiculous.
Crazy.
He really is just the more.
Wyatt, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to you. Wait, go quickly.
I'm trying to find some. Okay, where 90% chance that Sideshow is crewless. He's dumb and he doesn't know what's going on. Very true. 50% Tenzorio's back.
Love it.
That's gonna happen. 10% Crew. Wait, Crew won't miss Crew won't miss finals. So they're making it. Kesnet up here. Ice cold in Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? Kesnet.
That's called live. That's called live TV, people. But it's time to jump into the action. Let's do this. VCT Americas LCQ starts right now.
The goal this year is to be able to go to Champions.
The pressure is on.
Let's go!
Parece que ganarle a todos.
Skills do capitão de mais.
Oh, looking for the transfer! And he's gonna get it! What are you guys fucking doing? First misses the second, does not!
Para você ser o melhor, você tem que ganhar dos melhores.
Buena, weón!
Anyone can take any game off one another.
Saucy gets three!
And the B-sider's now open. What a shot! Ay, ay, ay! Sensacional!
Crew, I think right now they're definitely on a high. They have a lot of firepower. If they start off strong, they carry the momentum very well.
Melzer tiene que sacar el clutch, consigue la baja de Shai, va a recargar una bala, tenía mano a mano, Astra contra Astra. ¡Ah! Masino whipea y Melzer con el flick saca el clutch.
Un equipo muy fuerte, un equipo muy completo. Tiene jugadores increíbles que he admirado desde que jugaba antes Counter.
And seconds on the other side, he's got the op. And Leaf delivers.
I think overall, like they're a strong unit, and if we don't, shut them down, then we'll definitely get owned.
Welcome back to the VCT LCQ map pick ban. Today we're here with Cloud9 and Crew. And Cloud9 is the higher seed, so you get a choice of Team A or Team B.
We'll take Team B.
All right, Cloud9 chooses Team B. Therefore, Crew is Team A. All right. Cool, and you guys know the drill. So we'll start with the two bans. So Crew ban one map.
We ban Fracture.
All right, Crew bans Fracture. All right, Cloud9 ban a map.
We'll ban Bind.
Cloud9 bans Bind. Crew picks a map.
They Ascent.
All right, Crew picks Ascent. Cloud9 choose side on Ascent.
Defense.
Cloud9 chooses defense on Ascent. And Cloud9 now picks a map. Pearl. Cloud9 picks Pearl. Crew attacks on Pearl. Crew attacks on Pearl. Then now Crew bans a map.
We ban Lotus.
Crew bans Lotus. Cloud9 bans one map.
We'll ban Split.
Cloud9 bans Split. And the remaining map is Haven. And then Crew picks side on Haven.
We attack.
All right, Crew attacks on Haven. Cool, we'll do a quick recap. Crew bans Fracture, Cloud9 bans Bind. Crew picks Ascent, Cloud9 is defense on Ascent. Cloud9 picks Pearl, Crew is on attack. Crew bans Lotus, Cloud9 bans Split. Remaining map is Haven, and Crew is on attack. Cool, thank you very much, good luck, have fun.
Bienvenidos al cuarto día del Last Chance Qualifier. Listos para demostrar que el cielo no es el límite. Davis, Klaus, Melzer, Kesnet, Naxet y su coach Atom. ¡Vamos a jugar Crew!
Introducing their opponents, the #1 seed, your #1 hometown heroes. It's Leaf, it's Rudy, it's Jake, it's Zelsis, it's Zeppa, and Coach MC, it's Cloud9!
This. Are you ready for this? Standing in front of the enemy line, you gotta be a soldier. Your soul burns like a wildfire. This fight is not yet over. You're adrenalized, but it's pumping on the verge to be.
This is truly a David versus Goliath matchup, a little Mac versus Tyson, if Punch-Out's your sort of thing. This is going to be awesome as we see two teams take the stage that are hungry for that grand final spot. And Wyatt, it couldn't get any better than this. You got a hopeful crew, you got an ambitious Cloud9. This is basically what the sport is made of.
I mean, it is. You said David versus Goliath. It is that to the absolute maximum. You have the worst team in the regular season versus the best team in the regular season. You saw they were #1 on everything on the stat sheet, going up to make it into the finals, a chance to get into champions. And of course, if they do make it to the finals from here, that map advantage is going to be crucial as well. So they are playing for a lot right now.
Well, I know you're speaking about map advantages, but let's just pivot real quickly before the agent select starts for the maps. Because, Baby Bay, you said in the what are the chances that they would let a raise map through. Turns out they weren't going to let anything through.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Crew is on a high right now, but I do think that C9 won this map pool. Like, I think for sure that this is in their favor. I think Ascent is going to be really good for Crew, but the other two maps are going to be rough.
I would agree. Up until this LCQ run, they've proven to me that they can expand their map pool. And I actually like the fact that they're going a little bit into the unknown. Cloud9 needed footage of Sentinels on Pearl, you know, on the decider in Split in order to take that series. It was Fracture, the unknown, that threw a wrench for Cloud9. Today, they're going to have to deal with that again for Crew.
Yeah, what's also crazy is that Crew on Pearl, they actually beat Loud there during the regular season, but they float Haven, which they've lost 8 times in a row. And they ban Lotus, which they've looked great on. So just looking at that in a bubble, it seems very, very odd. But again, these are two teams that seem to scrim a lot, know the ins and outs of each other's play, and that can create a meta within itself. And that could, you know, lean the map pool in a way that seems unorthodox, but actually behind the scenes for them makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, well, here's the agent select here as we get ready for this game. And, you know, not expecting much in the way of changes here, Baby Babe, but to kind of piggyback onto that, how as a player, how does that change knowing that you've scrimmed against this team a lot in the past?
I mean, I've scrimmed against both these teams a lot, and President has always been dominant. But this comp from Cloud9, this Viper Omen comp, is so annoying to play against. Like, you really need to maneuver the map around on attack in the right way and find the right spot. And they do a really good job, C9, of shutting you down and also getting those entries with Leaf on attack. So this is gonna be a hard matchup in my opinion.
I agree. I think the way they use the Viper, particularly on attack, they are going to take a lot of lines away from Kesnet on this jet, where he's going to be offing around looking for these first bloods like he's been finding. And I don't know if he's going to be able to find it with a double controller on Ascent.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this all pans out. Let's get ready for map #1 and send it over to your casters, the always dapper Doug and Balla. How's that sweatshirt, Balla?
Thank you so much, Golden Boy. Upper finals, Balla, between these two teams, and we've talked about it so many times. It's unexpected. We all knew Cloud9 would be here, but for Crew to be the team facing them on the other side has been such a fun story to watch.
Yeah, I'm just going to repeat what the desk has said many times, right? 0-8 in the regular season. You really don't expect an LCQ run from them. They've had to go through 2 single-elimination games to get to this point. Now they're in the upper bracket final. They're already top 3, but that's not enough. You got to get first here in LCQ.
Yeah, if you want to make it to champs, there's only one spot up for grabs, and they're going to have to get through Cloud9. Yeah, they have the lower bracket run, but as the desk was saying, having that map advantage could be so pivotal when it comes to a best of 5 when everything is on the line.
Absolutely. So starting off on the Heineken 0.0 Ascent. This is Crew's map choice. And Cloud9, what feels like they've been kind of hiding whether they're still running this Viper comp.
Yeah.
Sean and Baby Bay were really, really high on the amount of things that you can do as Cloud9, and I was really excited with not only the defensive and just default conditioning opportunities that you get with the Viper, but also the aggressive tendencies you have. Look at this wall!
Yeah, it's already something you don't see very often. We'll see how they choose to play around it. This crew are so intent, already leaning everything towards B. They've dropped nanos in on the site before they even got to Boathouse. They have everything perfectly drilled here.
And the interesting point there, Rooney actually bought a smoke instead of a molly, so they're able to get through right perfectly, and that KO knife as well suppresses him, so no delay. They have to play full 5v5 retake, the only damage done on Zeppa.
Seems like they're gonna have 3 coming in through garage. Zelsis still making sure there's nobody pushing in towards mid, and now they're gonna work their way forward. An early paranoia.
Get them off lane.
Where do they go from here? A little bit of spam down through stairs, the spike ticking away. Nags playing up close first. The dash come through, and you already see the spam coming through smokes as well. Meltzer still playing from backside as a couple of members of Cloud9 have fallen. Numbers in favor of Crew here. Zeppa, on the other side of the smoke, only getting 1. That's a round for Crew. That's an excellent start.
A couple of mistakes there from Cloud9, though. Leaf with the missed dash, where he was going to get into the site and actually break up quite a few crossfires. Might have gotten those trades a lot easier for Cloud9. You might have looked at a 5v3 instead of that 3v3 where everybody on Crew was backside. Do have to commend Rooney. Repositioning his orb made that difficult for the Crew players, but there's just way too little time in that case where they all come funneling through B main. These final moments right here. Kesnit, Melzer, everybody's just playing together there. That orb kind of funneled them to play together in that instance. Even though I was saying it was quite good, you can see how little things change the situation.
And that chaotic pistol leaves us in this situation early with no buy for Cloud9. Meanwhile, Crew are not nearly as bunched up as we saw them in the first round.
Well, they're going to dry walk out. I was thinking they're not going to hit the site because the spike is still over towards top mid.
They spot someone there? Did Zelsa see something?
There's 4 players here now for Cloud9. The smoke's coming just in time. They're not going to be able to do this.
I mean, both of them. Both smokes coming through from the attack and the defensive side, forcing this into a bit of a stalemate, at least for the time being.
So they're not going to be able to strike fast, but this wall is something that Crew is going to have to try to decide what to do with because it's very, very unconventional. It's the first time I'm seeing it in Cloud9 right now. It's a great wall against any sort of cap pressure. You have to clear so many things once you get up and once it's activated, but Rooney's still holding on to that fuel since everybody's grouped up in tree, and that does leave Jake completely isolated here on this B side.
He does have a ghost. But that's all he has so far, and that ghost was enough to get 2.
30 seconds
I'm sorry,
left.
what?
That's a great start for Cloud9.
And this is Eco9 right here. They're so good in these moments. They got quite a few of them on Pearl in that series yesterday against Sentinels.
They've been able to upgrade 1 weapon at least for Zelsis. He's got the Bulldog now. Nags playing down low, just getting the best of Leaf. Hard in situations like that to convert that into a win. But either way, Cloud9 still with much to do. Zelsis is taking a fair bit of damage. Positioned in a place where if he falls, Rooney can pick up the gun and continue to push his way forward. But the nanos, the delaying of utility from Crew has been so effective. It's buying so much time. And there's the threat. It all falls onto Zeppa, but it's a 1v1. Nags is weak. This is big. 54 HP. Crew wins it out.
Exit stays composed, and he took the first fight on that retake and took the last one too. Really nice job from him to keep the round close because Jake did such good work by himself. He's in a weird position, but he's still with just a ghost there should absolutely not be getting anything. Especially with the fact that they were so comfortable dry walking all the way up. If they did that, they would have found him completely by himself and probably caught unaware. Now though, look at the econ for them. They only have 2 Vandals. We do have 1 purchased up, but this is not going to be easy for them to actually convert this bonus against Cloud9's full weaponry here.
You see the same Viper wall out from Rooney we've talked about in the previous round. It seems like this time they want to explore around it a little bit more. Remember in the previous round, for the most part, they avoided it.
Oh, there's a flash potentially primed here from Jake that would suppress the ability to hear right there for Leaf to maybe make an updraft dash play to flank.
And if that's not enough, you have Zeppa who's got a flash close by too. But I don't know that that tagged anyone.
I'm really worried here what Leaf is going to do, especially with Nax still in close mid.
Trailblazer cleared. There's the paranoia you were just referring to. 2 down. That's 3 down. As Cloud9, I cracked the round wide open.
And meanwhile, Crew's just trying to smoke off the turret to get out here while all that's going on. But when the main tip fails, it's not going to be easy to do that. So Cloud9, a really, really nice and clean anti-bonus there. Flawless in the approach. That flash from Jake was such... I mean, look, everybody's blind there. And meantime, Leaf is able to isolate the fight completely alone against Nags. These are the type of trap plays that Cloud9 is really good at. And it's kind of hard to get them set up on Ascent. But you can tell the prep coming in this map already.
What do they have going on here? Leaf looking to explore the middle of the map by himself. Jake once again not far off. He's so aggressive. Look at how much space he's taking. He's just on the other side. He's going to clear the turret too and get away. I mean, he didn't get the kill, but...
Takes what he can get, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be quite a while till Nags gets that back up. And if they need to rely on that for passive flank watching, it's going to be a little difficult for them to get in positions to execute. Either way, they still have this KO. Cloud9 is kind of playing the KJ really far back here to make sure he's not getting suppressed by that KO. But if he goes up mid and pops it, that suppresses it anyways.
And mid is the place that seems like Crew are looking to fill. Nothing from Cloud9 here to cover it.
I do like this insistence for them to go for this mid multiple times now. Given this wall, I'd try to avoid this at all costs.
It seems like that's what Crew are doing. Seeker's invested. You hear the ult used. Rooney's getting the first onto Kesnet.
Leaf is here too. I don't know if they realize this.
Oh, Nags may not have known, but he took care of him anyway. Seems like it's going to have to be a ferocious attempt to retake from Cloud9 in order to get this site back from Crew. They're up in numbers. They've taken their post-plant positions. The Seekers have been dealt with.
Both post plants that we've seen on this B side have gone to Crew. The pistol and that anti-eco, it was close.
Zeppa has a flash and Jake has a paranoia, so they have some tools to do this. But it's much like what we saw the last time we were in this position. The utility that Crew is using to delay is just so effective, but Zelsis finds an opening. Jake does too, and they get the site back.
Fighting through the smoke there too for Melzer. The way they're able to get all those kills in sync is so nice from Cloud9. And again, despite a missed flash, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a missed flash. That went just around the corner. Didn't tag the player who was playing up close to stairs, but definitely could have flashed the player's backside or forced them to dodge.
I mean, it looked so promising for Crew until Zelsis happened. He just found so much value pushing lane. I mean, and then the counter punch of Jake pushing downstairs at the other side, that left-right combo just overwhelmed Crew.
It's always a tough decision to know which of the back sites entrances to smoke off.
Right, yeah.
In that case, Jake actually smoked the back right, and that actually nullified this one way that was there entirely. It forces Crew completely down to just pistols here in this eco round. See if they can do what Cloud9 did to them.
Interesting that they gave Nags the... Well, never mind. It makes sense now.
And they've gotten the site. So they go 1 for 1.
That paranoia does tag Nags, but, or Kesnet, excuse me, but Cloud9 haven't taken a ton of space, so you gotta be careful because Nags is on the flank, and he is considered, he's dealt with a 3K from Jake to get Cloud9 to 3.
Jake is absolutely stepping up in these first 5 rounds so far.
I mean, even yesterday.
He's been a beast for them in this LCQ. It was a beast for them in the regular season. Not somebody we really expected to perform so well at the tier 1 level, but here he is still competing for a slot at champs. And we do have this switch up on the Viper wall now for Rooney. I think with the insistence for Crew of going up mid, it's definitely something that I want to see, and it actually gives quite a few pockets, both in logs and inside of the switch, where you saw Jake get those 2 ghost kills much earlier on.
You should run.
I wondered how much more depth they had, Rooney had to his walls, because it felt like it was an inevitability that Cloud9 were going to catch on to the fact that they were avoiding this A wall. We'll see how this one plays around. He's out there with the spike, committing to the ult, and now the rest of Crew are going to funnel through.
With that lockdown, it's a really nice play to just go for it. You can get the plan a little faster.
Yeah.
And you also don't have to commit through B main. You can see Klaus completely droning from way far back. Didn't use it to get in the site. He's just droning the flank. When do you see this? He's just trying to keep the drone alive for as long as possible, delay as long as possible.
And I think his positioning here is key because he has a Hunter's Fury. If Zelsis doesn't choose to invest a lockdown, there is a counter to that. So you've got to expect Zeppa to be able to push and guide him off of that because he knows
they're
where
pushing
it's
him.
coming from, and
Yeah.
there it is. The timing is perfect from Zeppa. He read it so well. Melser's now left alone in this 1v5. And that's all it's going to be.
What a beautiful consideration from Zeppa there. Called it out perfectly. And I mean, that could have been disastrous for Cloud9 if they don't consider that, right? That Hunter's Fury is breaking the lockdown. All of a sudden, the crew players don't have to make plays. And instead, they're sitting there inside of the site, inside of the lockdown radius, scrambling. And we have to talk about Kesnit real quick, because he's been first deaths in a lot of these situations so far. He's not finding the value that we're hoping to. And we were mentioning on the desk about how you don't want to give him any of the raise maps. Here he is playing on this jet. And it's definitely rough so far.
Cover going out.
Odd that, of course, it was such a highly anticipated matchup between Kesnit and Leaf and who was going to pop off, but it's Big Bean, who's currently leading for Cloud9, and he's showing no signs of slowing down.
Great spam there from Melzer. And again, that's his fourth first death, and he had a gun in this instance. They were hero rifling him up.
Leaf with the op, finding Nags. They've taken some tree control, and yeah, they've taken Jake down, but this looks like it should be relatively clean the rest of the way for Cloud9. They pop the blades, swing out, get the kill.
I mean, in that instance, I love that as an investment, right? Keep the op up, right? Because he's under pressure. Yeah, his teammates are joining him, but who knows what his opponent is going to do in that instance. So, and as well, with the bank that he has, I'm perfectly comfortable with that situation, despite it being a 3v1 and normally being like, yeah, no, that's should save your ult, but I like it in that case.
Timeout called for Crew. They find themselves down 5-2 in this opening map. At their map pick, as you mentioned earlier. And I think we've seen a couple of fits that have been caused by this, by the Viper on Ascent. Not something we see very frequently. And, you know, we talked about it, that we're going to have to navigate through some of the walls and utility that Rooney was going to be investing. But I think a lot of it, too, has just been how well Cloud9 have considered what Crew want to be doing in these situations. And that feels like that's a large reason why they've found the success that they have.
It definitely has felt so far a little readable. And even though Cloud9 in two instances I can remember definitely stacked the wrong side, it's not something that's going to happen too often as we progress through this and we get these timeouts going. Have to see a change from Crew in that respect, but you also, I mean, you have so much to deal with in terms of anti-stratting against Cloud9 here, and it's been a while since they played this map. Yesterday I was looking into veto, and it was definitely a decision for the third map against Sentinels for Cloud9, and it looked like they might have gone towards Ascent, but instead chose to avoid it. It could pay off right here, because it's, again, there's so many little aggressive plays that Cloud9 can make on this defense. And again, they're just switching things up out of the timeout to make whatever they just decided and discussed a lot harder to consider. This was probably the last thing that they were talking about, how to deal with this Viper wall. Instead, now they need to consider how to adjust their plans right away. That's a great switch up.
Don't screw it up.
We were talking about the op at the end of the previous round, still in the hands of Leaf, and he's going to be holding B. But it seems like Crew want to work mid. Which, remember, their exec with the K ult from a couple of rounds ago did at least net them the site. But not with Zelsis here.
That's just off of complete audio there. The turret didn't even fire off.
I think
it's just listening.
Off. Yeah.
That's crazy.
They're still threatening some of this presence down mid, though. And they're in a position here where they have some options. But the Seekers invested here by Cloud9 should read things out pretty nicely.
Jake's been in this position multiple times, but Crew has not actually had to face it.
Oh, those Seekers are so persistent. The flash on the other side of the smoke, and Jake looking to reposition, play a little bit closer. But Melser's timing is gorgeous.
It's just in time to get the players off. Leaf still finds a kill, though, and it, despite everything that looks like Crew should have been advantaged, no, the early pick. Down in mid from Zelsis with the Odin.
Still has it. Still working his way out towards the site. He's up in heaven right now. Joined by the other two members of Cloud9. Melser playing down low. Leaf cleans him up, leaving Nax by himself.
Starting to roll. They're starting to roll here.
They've been rolling. That's 6 rounds in a row now for Cloud9.
Only the pistol and the anti-eco for Crew. And the anti-eco was a failure in that instance, too, despite getting that round.
Yeah.
You can see this snowball happening for Cloud9, and it doesn't have any signs of stopping until potentially some of these ults come up from Crew. And again, they are having success getting it on the site. You can see 3 defuses from Cloud9 there. But holding is tough, and up to this point, Crew's been fantastic in these post plants, but only against their South American opponents.
I'll show you.
Now here, against the favorites in LCQ, they're struggling. Here's that molly. Oh, Pit, actually.
We'll see if they can bully Rooney out of the way. Depends on how fast they want to go. But no, as the pit settles, they have to go to plan B.
And it's interesting there, you think that maybe they're actually trying to counter that entire idea from Rooney there. But this Pit is brutal. I mean, he can hide down lane. There's no way you can actually take him out, so Kesnet wasted his dash in that instance too.
Melser invested his paranoia. It did seem like it was considered that they had a decent idea of what Cloud9 wanted to do, but Rooney was just quicker on the trigger.
And there was also an insta-molly from Zelsis in that situation too to keep them back, so info just missed as they tuck themselves away on Cat. I think they know what's going on though, even still. Look at that one way from Jake.
Leaf has already crept his way over with the op still. Jake is close by. He just spotted one.
Great
cover, yeah. Leaf just covering for Jake, getting him out of a sticky situation. Very well done.
Look how fast that was too. As Jake gets washed up. It's just so perfect.
They managed to get the spike down. They have tree control too. All comes down to, how well Davies can hold this.
Oh, they just closed the door late. They're gonna have to spend time breaking while they're fighting and pushing the pinch.
How does Leaf survive that? Kesnet takes down Zelsis. It all falls down onto Rooney. A 1v2. And time is of the essence. The dart cleared. He doesn't realize that there's somebody behind him. There's no way you consider something like that. Not in a situation like this. The bullets miss, but Klaus does not.
Finally.
I can hold an area pretty well myself.
Finally some breathing room here for Crew, but it will reset their economy slightly. His flank from Davies on Cat was perfect, and Melzer considering as well. I love the late door close because it forces Cloud9 to break that because they have to, otherwise they're gonna run out of time, and then that's where he strikes. That's when Davies strikes as well. It's perfect. It sets up that pinch so very well.
Melser's ult, the only one online right now. You see the defensive setup from Zelsis towards B, but Crew leaning A right now. Oh boy. Oh, I thought he was gonna get more. Zeppa does. He cleans it up.
Down A.
And so the intention there from Crew is to actually use this space while there's no smoke to try to find a pick onto the 2 players who were on A, which is a good idea. But Cloud9 is just facing them anyways, and they net themselves a huge advantage in this round when Crew was looking to strike. This is gonna be terrible if Crew lose this round. I mean, they're gonna get reset economically. They're gonna go back down to only the 1.9K that you get in this instance.
The moment's so heavy, but they're so painfully outnumbered.
Enemy remaining.
And it's just gone from bad to worse. Melser had to use his ult just to recover the spike to get them into a decent situation. But he seems to have found a timing to be able to get the spike down. Rooney playing this a bit more safely, takes a step back, allows B to go up, knowing they're up in numbers.
And he missed the silent jump there, which forces him to just go for the plant instead. He could have maybe found a sneak attack onto Rooney.
That flashback sight confirming that he isn't out proper and he's got to be exactly where that molly is. Now 54 HP for the remaining member of Crew. And a shorty in the face. Cleans him up.
2 more rounds to go here, but I mean, at least they got that spike plant. I'm looking at Kesnet's money right now, 2.7K. That could definitely be an indication that he might have knives. Either way, this was so well done from Cloud9. There's not a one-way or anything like that, so they're able to easily get through, but it's baiting them forward for it.
I believe that's the second shorty kill that we've seen from Leaf in the last 2 rounds.
Look at the eco here. It's complete shambles. Classic 2 sheriffs. Hero buy from Kesnet. Hero buy from Davies as well. They can make this work, but against the op from Leaf, the Odin on Rooney, who they've swapped it up, by the way. It's not always the same person, so it's really difficult to tell.
Yeah, it was Zelsis a couple of rounds ago. Now it's Rooney, as you mentioned. And he gets a kill.
Yep.
That was by himself too. There was nothing to set that up, no confirmation of information, no flash, nothing.
And he also does it from the top of the default box inside of B there rather than up close, which makes it really difficult to punish back. And you get a better angle. Not necessarily a better angle, but a different one at that.
Still 2 rifles up for Crew, for Kesnit and for Davies. Also worth noting here, the different setup that Cloud9 are using with Killjoy. They've got the alarm bot and a nano mid with Zelsis close by. And it seemed like Melser was going to try to find some space there. But instead, opts to go Cat. That dash running out of time. Puts himself in the tiniest of angles. Nothing to have to clear at the dart. He's still in a good position. It looks like he's just waiting for that flash to come through, knowing what could be on the other side, but Davies doesn't have one. All he had was that knife. There it is, the dash out into the cloudburst. He tries to fill the space, but he's already dead.
What's going on?
Leaf's looking for another. There it is. He needed the shorty kill, and he got it. 3 for 3 on those.
Last round before
and the final round of the half to make this a super strong half for Cloud9. This defense has been very nice so far. 8-4 would be good, 9-3 would be great.
You know, there are instances, especially on Ascent, where you look at a scoreline like this and say, well, that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, you know, what have you. In this case, it really does. The timeline and the score tell you everything that you need to know.
When you look back to Crew's game against Fury on this map, Crew had a fantastic attack side. It was nothing like this at all. In fact, they just dominated both halves of that map.
Yeah. A far cry from the Crew we've seen for the last 3 matches. Leaf playing just on the other side of his wall, spots a shoulder, not able to land the shot, has to get away. The Hunter's Fury invested from Klaus.
No tags.
No, nothing at all.
Seekers as well, the delay. They get the information set up. And Jake perfectly.
What a cheeky spot. They invested the Trailblazer and everything because they wanted to take this fight to Crew.
Crew's not quite done with it yet. Despite the fact that Klaus missed every single pulse. Lockdown may be spammable if Rooney gets close enough, but Kesnit just jumps up. And we've got a game yet, 8-4. Again, good half from Cloud9, but Crew, I mean, they strike back, and they were getting on the side, so some of their plans were working very well, but definitely feels like Cloud9's still in control, especially with this Viper on attack now. Sean was talking about the attack side tendencies they have can be super strong. I can't wait to watch the rest of this because strategically, I'm loving what I'm seeing from both sides.
I think the question is, as we see Kesnit clean up the last 2 rounds, or the last 2 kills of that round, excuse me, is when are we going to see him return to form? When are we see him catch? When are we going to see him catch fire? Because it feels like Crew desperately needs it. Golden Boy, what do you think?
Thank you so much for that, fellas. Yeah, I mean, that is the question that we're kind of left asking ourselves as well, given that we've been bigging up Kesnit quite a bit here. But it goes without saying that, you know, you were kind of running into a brick wall a few times, Sean, in C9 setups, but Kesnit definitely felt the brunt of that.
Yeah, the brick wall was coming in the form of like 2 controllers and a Killjoy, right? Yeah. I mean, one site has a Killjoy, one site has a Viper. Those are the anchors. They're very, very difficult to get past. And if you take the center of the map, you're getting one-way smoked by the Omen everywhere, you know, from Market and from Short A. So there was no openings for Crew, and the only rounds they were able to win were just brute force takes on one of the sites.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the struggles that Kesnit had trying to entry through all of that util. 0-6 on the first kills to deaths. That is brutal.
Yeah, extremely rough to see. But then obviously, when you want to flip it over to C9 though, Baby Bay, it was a very clear game plan and it worked to perfection for them in a lot of these rounds.
Yeah, I mean, cycling the Odin is something that Wyatt was talking about earlier, and it was beautiful. It actually caught out Kesnit quite a bit. Like, there was a time when he walked up mid and the smoke just gets spammed for no reason. It's like they're not allowing him to get going, and it's hard as a duelist when you have a slow start to actually bring it back. So, I mean, we'll see what he can do. It's obviously a defense-sided map, in my opinion, so I think he can have a lot more free reign to run around.
I do think it is defensive-sided, especially with the composition that Cloud9's running. But with that said, you know, the way Crew is composed, I feel like they rely a lot on Kesnit to open up these rounds, and against the double controller, Like I said in the pregame, it's going to be very hard for him to get set up on lines and feel comfortable. You know, this guy's going to be getting info and he's going to be blocked vision the whole time.
Yeah, and it was a point you made, Babyface, so I'm just going to steal right now to sound smart. But you talked about, you had mentioned previously when Kesnet had his great jet game, he started on the raise where he's been, you know, lights out. So he gets rolling with the momentum there, and it carries over. This time, though, he's starting on the jet. And he's about to play, I'm assuming, a hell of a lot of jet as the series goes on with the maps.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, with the way that things have laid out here, it feels like Cloud9's game plan is working out, but 8-4 is doable for Crew. Let's see how this all pans out and send it back to Doug and Bala.
Thank you so much, fellas. Yeah, again, the question goes back to Kesnet. What can he do on this jet? We've talked so much about his raise versus jet and how effective he can be on the raise roll, but now his team desperately needs him to come online, desperately needs him to find some value on this star roll. And it's going to be tough treading, man. Again, in the face of that double controller, that's going to be difficult.
I think it has to come down to getting him an op really, really early.
Yeah.
And again, we talk about defensive sidedness on this map, but looking at Crew's past history, I was referencing their game against Furia in a 9-3 half in that game on attack. So this might be really tough. We didn't get quite to see too much of the defensive half, but Cloud9 waiting out any util that could come outside of B there. Now smoking off Nags. Just trying to get a ghost shot off the turret.
Yeah. It's just going to be a full take of the site, and they've left Zeppa playing around mid. No utility, but he's going to be there to cut off rotation.
This is really slow for these mid players right now. It's going to take quite some time finally breaking that turret. Zeppa with a frenzy. They don't check this.
They know now. Oh, dear. Well.
But this is taking so much time. I mean, we've already spent like 20 seconds just getting these players up into B main right now.
Yeah, just setting up for the fight. You're right.
And he's already ready for them. I mean, Leaf is already marking out, pinging where the dart is going to land because he knows where Klaus is coming from.
There it is.
He missed it. Just went off the map.
Time is so short right now. I don't know that Crew are going to have enough time to do this. And now with Leaf still playing on site. They desperately need the pistol, and it does not go their way.
And again, the desk highlighted Kesnet. His rough performance so far. He was 0-6 in that first half in first deaths. Now again, the first death in this round is Zeppa right here, just not clearing his corner. And yeah, I mean, that's a tough angle to kind of expect, but when you've done nothing on the map, you have to be diligent. And if you're not diligent, that's what happens. At this point, Leaf is getting kills, it's cool, but the round's over.
Right,
it's already over based on the time.
Crew choosing not to force. Same Viper wall that we're seeing, that we saw in the previous round from Rooney.
Yeah, that's just a complete AXEC wall. It definitely allows you to get a little bit more space on the orb. And well, this might be over quick here.
Yeah, no real fight. Even the small nuance, like Zelsis going down low, Leaf having the high ground, this high-low in an unexpected position.
A dynamic one at that with the updraft is so crazy. He's actually firing off that Guardian too. I mean, shoot your shot. And again, Kesnet first to die. Yeah, they were leading an aggressive push on the eco, so we kind of expected in that case. Sacrificial lamb to catapult into maybe a few more.
Yeah.
But look at the difference from that pistol round clearing the corner against Zeppa. They didn't do it for Crew. Whereas Cloud9, when they get those first 2 kills, they're still diligent in clearing the rest of it. Look at this, guns are all out. Flash even for B main, so this guy's completely blind for a minute. And both players running around that corner ready to take that high-low like you pointed out.
And then we still had Rooney with the Sheriff kill. A complete round for Cloud9.
Had it all. An early timeout in this half. Kind of necessary.
Yeah, I would agree.
Probably the most important round to bring it back here. You've got to, on Ascent, start the defensive side strong when you're down so big already. If you can't get streaks going on defense, where are you ever going to get them? We didn't see any of them on that attack.
See the members of Crew on your screen listening intently. as Adam, you imagine, is being very thorough in what it is that his team has to do in order to get back into the action. They find themselves down 6 rounds. This is just the first map in this best of 3, and yes, this is the upper finals, so there is still a shot at the lowers. But as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, when it comes down to a best of 5, having the advantage of being able to come through the upper bracket and have the edge, if you will, when it comes to map selection is so pivotal.
And they did pick this Ascent. So the rest of the map pool, they're thinking about how they might have needed this one. And this is tough for Crew. I mean, they've been kind of sun running so far. Statistically, I mean, they've definitely beat up on some teams like Lev. How does he get that? I mean, Davies definitely over peaking, trying to get that knife out for some reason instead of just using a safer approach. And they get it before that knife even pops. They break the knife too. I mean, just ridiculous. An orb also added into this execute. There's still 2 players here though. And I'm wondering if they collected information about the Odin on the other side of the map. There again, remember, we talked about how Crew went for this pick. Same outcome though, this time for Crew.
Weave, Blades online.
Right click him maybe.
He wants to go.
Ooh.
And Zeppa swings out at the same time. Once again, you're seeing dynamic peaks out from Cloud9, overwhelming the opposition. 2v2 here, Cloud9 have gotten the site, they have the spike, they are getting it planted.
Spike planted.
A Phantom and an Odin in the hands of the defense. And the drone now out.
Oh no, Zeppa can't get spammed here. Ooh.
Ow, just barely. Still a dart for Klaus. He's looking for another target, anyone to get lit up. He can bring the pain and punish, but leave with 3. The Guardian still in play. Nags gets it to a 1v1, but Zeppa cleans it up.
Bonus converted, and this might be a fast lane here.
Let's leave whatever happens
Towards map 2.
Yeah.
Towards Cloud9's map pick. Crew has to force up here. And again, that was actually a good start from them, despite the fact that they lost the first kill. Mel's are able to clap right back as Cloud9 continue to try to push the advantage on the site without a smoke there.
I mean, fully flashed, and he gets 2.
Just gross. Coming into this series in LCQ, Crew, best gun round team, best retake team. So far, they've only won the 2 gun rounds on that defense.
It's been brutal scenes. Kesnet with the Guardian trying to find an early pick as Cloud9 trampled their way forward, and Leaf does eventually fall. But now without Melser meeting his death either. Crew just so far away here. Nax is still just working across the middle of the map, and Kesnet's left in this fight where he's having to deal with so many different targets without any help.
I mean, there's a flood attempt there from Crew, but it's splintered because of the mollies from Rooney. Finally, he falls, and they're going to try to push this lockdown.
Oh, Jake.
Success so far.
3v2. Cloud9 gotten it down to a 2v2 now. Zelsis is still dancing around. Not many bullets left in the clip. And it's all going to be on to Zelsis. Takes a step back. Gets pressured. Still finds time to reload. Davies, half, pulls off. Zelsis with the Red Bull clutch. That's got to be a dagger.
Match point.
They should not have won that. Absolutely should not have won that. When that lockdown went down, you thought for sure Zelsis was also going to get traded out too. This flood attempt there, you can see Kesnet's out by himself.
Yeah.
Just by himself. It's because of the orb and molly that Rooney's throwing. I mean, they have this insistence on placing this wall, and it's working really nice on the safe side. Crew's got to find an answer and fast, and they're going to have to do it with light weaponry too. You're going to be a bunch of C to... Oh, early pick again from Leaf.
Davies already dead.
It's the same situation too, where he's trying to throw his knife.
Klaus finding a little bit of something. You see Kesnet tried getting high ground over the cover. Couldn't find any value.
Relying on a judge to save the game here, and it might pay off here. The rotate is coming in. He's not able to punish Lee. Finally, it goes his way, Crew.
But even if Nags gets, I mean, there's
the stun.
It's considered. The Trailblazer was well done.
And look at the pivot back immediately, and there's no info here for Crew. The smoke as well. Just got placed down on both sides.
The benefit is Melser does have his ult too, so they can flip map. Potentially, if need be.
Right now, they're walking inside a spawn. They're completely unsure about where they are.
Yeah.
Now with the spike coming, they're going to start to realize. But because they've walked all this way, they could surprise them out of heaven right now. Still, Rooney with this molly. It's such good delay.
He still has one molly. Zelsis still has 2 nanos and the turret.
And the wall's going to come back up too. Fuel takes a long time in this patch. But with that molly, it pushes them back, and he's probably going to activate now.
And time just ticks away. Desperation for the side of Crew. And a huge moment, it's going to fall down to a 1v1. Rooney is pit.
Fake TP.
Can't imagine he uses it here. Tugs on the angle, waiting for the swing, and Rooney wins it out. The 3K to get Cloud9 map 1.
And it's a flawless attack side. And an absolutely flawless game here on Ascent from Cloud9. And Crew have got to be kicking themselves for trying to go into that against them, because that was brutal.
Yeah, that was ugly.
I think a big instance where past information is unreliable. Crew played against Cloud9 earlier in the season on that map, and Cloud9 was playing a weird comp. It was at the end of the season when Cloud9 really didn't care anymore. Yeah, they wanted to go for an undefeated streak after losing that initial game against Loud. But they really, I mean, they already had their position as second seed cemented at that point. What a different story here today. And we were looking for a team to look phenomenal for Americas here in LCQ. We want our representative who goes to Champions to actually be able to contend and step up with the likes of Loud, NRG, and EG, and the rest of the world's Champions contenders already. Finally, we might have just seen that.
I mean, it was a masterclass performance on a different comp. They showed Viper works on Ascent. We'll see what they have for map 2, a break, and then Pearl on the other side. We'll be right back.